see, I'll try and, make it as easy as possible for you to see. Can you hear me if I don't use the microphone? No. No? Okay. Okay. Read, my lovely assistant, read what's going on. Okay, we're going to start first with Dot's recipe. And you'll see the texture of that recipe, and then we're going to do Roxy's, and the doughs are going to be completely different. And then those are the two that we've prepared for you to eat later, and so you'll be able to taste how they're totally, totally different. Okay, we'll start with Dot's, and again, if you have any questions, just shout it out. Okay, so I don't have an electric beater here today, so we're going to pretend. Okay. So we have our softened butter, nice and soft. And to that, we're going to add our sugar. Now, normally I would have a beater, and we would beat these two together. So we're going to pretend, and hopefully it'll mix up pretty well. Okay, so we're going to pretend. Actually, that's not half bad. My butter was nice and soft, so it all blended pretty well. Now we're going to add our eggs one at a time. Technically, what you should do is break it first. Make sure you don't have any shells in it, but I'm usually too lazy to do that. But check and see, and I usually always beat them a little bit just to make sure it gets well incorporated. But one step that I just changed, put them both in at once. I like to take my time. So now we'll mix those in. And actually it's not mixing together half badly. Okay, so now we're going to add our orange juice. And I've already sifted my flour with baking soda and baking powder. And then we're going to add that. Now, what you would do is you would cream the beginning part with the beaters, and then you would switch to spoon or spatula or whatever you're comfortable with. But you would not use your beater. Now comes the fun part. We're going to knead a little bit. I'll go wash. And the dough will come together very quickly. It's a soft dough. You don't need to knead it for hours and hours, basically just until it's in all the flour is incorporated. And here's your dough. So it's just a beautiful soft dough. And what you would do now is let it refrigerate it for about an hour till it firms up a little bit. But since we don't want to wait that long, I'll just show you how we usually form this one. Now, there's all different ways to form your simits. The way this recipe is, you can make small little twists, large little twists. But I usually take it in my hand first, about a tablespoon or around a tablespoon, depending on how large you want them. And just roll it out like a pencil size. Fold it in half and twist. And it's just, it's very, very easy. And the dough is nice. It's even after it rests in the refrigerator, it's really, really easy to work with. I didn't even have to put any flour on the table or anything. But if your dough comes out a little bit sticky, just add a little bit of flour just to get it to a texture where it's easy enough to work with. And then you would just roll everything out, egg it, sesame seed it, bake it.
How much flour will it get?
It puffs up a little bit because it's got baking soda and baking powder. It does have a good puff.
So that was the pencil originally?
Yeah. So that was Doc's recipe. Do you have any comments you want to make? Any techniques that you use?
It should all come out good.
And if you, I added sugar in the butter in the beginning. But now what you can also do with this, depending on how you like it, is I love orange flavor, and with the orange juice in it, what I would do is even take a little orange zest and add that to the dough. Make a nice little flavor in that. So that's the first recipe. Okay.
Do you let it, once you put them in the pan, do you let it sit for a while, or you put them right in?
No, you can egg them and put them right in. You don't have to let them rest after that at all. Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to go to recipe number 2. Okay, so now we have Roxy's recipe. Roxy's recipe is delicious as well. Joyce and I, her daughter, went to Armenia together this summer, and she packed us a little care package of the Simits, and it was fantastic to have them every day while we were in Armenia. It was the best thing. So anyway, so now I'm glad I have the recipe. So what we did first is, if you see Roxy's recipe, we've got all the ingredients listed. We've got the dry ingredients that I put together here. And then we're going to just make a light dough with this as well. But you'll see the texture of this when we're done is very, very different. So we've got our flour. And in the flour, we put our... okay, flour is here, and I've already added into this the baking powder and the salt are already in my flour. So we've got our melted butter. Put that right in. Nice. Oil. And then we have a combination of milk and water. And again, it's so easy, but yet, wait till you see how this dough is different. And then we have 2 eggs. I heard somewhere to perfectly whip an egg, it takes 88 times. I don't know if that's true or not, but we won't wait for that. Okay, so then we'll put our eggs in. 88. Oh. So now we're going to mix this all together as well. Now wait till you see what this dough is going to look like. No, this is all by hand and spoon. Right?
Yes.
All by hand.
All by hand.
Oh, yeah. Question, yes. Whatever your preference is. Roxy, do you use a specific flour or just an all-purpose flour? All-purpose flour. Now this dough, let's see, because we had the oil and the butter. If you can, I don't know if you can see it. It's almost forming like, it's like airy and light and soft and pillowy, and it's lovely because there's a lot of fat in it. It's almost like when you eat a croissant, you get the flakiness. This is a simit that's like a croissant, a crispy croissant is how I would describe it. Now in this recipe, there's no sugar, there's no maleb. It's completely different, but it's just so lovely, and the dough is so beautiful to work with. It's so easy. Now the way Roxy does hers, we'll take a portion of the dough, and what you'll do is you'll make a rectangle, and whatever size you're comfortable in working with. And just with your hands, Roxy, you use a rolling pin or do you use just by hand? Just by hand. And just, again, you can make it to the size that you like. If you want them a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller. This is about, what, 3.5 inches maybe? 3.5 inches this way. And for the height part of this, it's only going to be about a ½ inch high. How does that look? Good? Is that okay? Yeah. So we've got our rectangle here lined up, and then like when you did this one, each simit you would egg and you would seed. This way, you can, it's kind of a little bit easier this way. You'll take your egg yolk, egg wash, excuse me, full egg you'll use, brush it, and then put your sesame seeds on it. And then, very easy, then you would cut it whatever size you like. ½ inch maybe, like this. And then you take these and you just line them up and bake them. So they're already egged and seeded. You don't have to do each one each way. So it's so easy.
But also, it's dough and make individual ones by hand, but you have to do each one separately
rather than the lot. So Roxy's saying you could take it, each little one, and make it that way if you choose to, but she does it this way for ease and uniformity, right? Question?
Stephanie, you kind of did like this and you went like for incorporating chocolate with it, like chocolate chips, like making it with chocolate salad.
On this particular one, I've never done that, but I don't see why you couldn't. Or maybe for something like this, it might be better to do a chocolate drizzle on top, maybe. So, and then you would put them in your pan and ready to bake. Now, I have this. These puff up quite a bit. This is how this one is. And you can even see the flakiness, right? But again, it's totally different. This was the first one we did. It's like this, and this is like a cookie, totally different texture. Any other question?
What is the yield of this recipe? How much is the yield?
Oh, I had written that down. I think it was approximately 35 to 40. Now, we do some at the store. Ours are a little bit smaller like this. Now, these have the same texture as Roxy's, even though they're braided, but they taste different because we put maleb in ours. So they have a totally different taste. And we put sugar. So, and this is the way my grandmothers always had hers like this in the ovals. They were always a staple in her house. And she liked the black seeds on hers. Maleb is a spice. It's made from the seed of the black cherry plant. Yeah, so it's got a very unique flavor to it. It's not real strong, but it gives a wonderful fit, a wonderful flavor. Yeah. We put it in our
Spell it. Spell.
Maleb,
No, spell.
Spell
Write
it.
it down.
MAHLEB.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Does anyone have any other questions? Maleb. Yeah. The black seed. Sahag, I think, is the black sesame seed. Yeah. The black sesame. And this is another style. There's a church in Massachusetts. They make their sticks like this. Their simit like this. Actually, the ones they do are actually even thinner than that. So there's a lot of different ways, and you can kind of make it your own version of it. So, anyway, does anyone have any questions for me? Yep, first one. I would say that would be okay, to make it a little less sweet. Yeah, that would be fine. Any other questions?
So it was such a staple for the early Armenians that they called it sweet meal.
That's right, that's what they did.
It was such a staple for the early Armenians who settled here that they called this region Simit Hill.
So if there are no other questions, I think we're ready to end this cookie.